This video was made possible by Emerilium and all the other guys over at the Discord. It's also brought to you by the generosity of the metric system, used by 13/16 of the world. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another lecture of Advanced Wars by Web for Dummies. Today we're going to go over basic hits and trading in quite some detail. At its core, the most fundamental interaction between you and your opponent happens when one full HP unit attacks another of the same type. Blue begins with a full health unit in range of Red's full health unit. Blue's attack damage is determined by the base damage value, firepower bonuses, and luck. This total is then reduced by a percentage based off of Red's defense. After taking damage, Red counterattacks. The counterattack is calculated from the base damage, bonuses, and luck, but the values are scaled down according to Red's remaining HP. Blue's defense then reduces this counterattack further. When Red's turn begins, both units are no longer at full health. The exchange can repeat if Red chooses to attack with the rules reversed. Brain defense also scales down with a unit's remaining HP. If Red chooses to stand and fight, the exchange keeps going. Red attacks first, then Blue attacks, followed by Blue's turn to strike again. Because Blue initiated the first attack, Blue comes out ahead, finishing the engagement with 5 HP remaining. Now let's imagine the same battle, but this time Red is positioned on a neutral property, gaining 3 terrain stars instead of just 1. So I hear you guys love charts, so here's a chart. This one illustrates the expected outcome of a one-on-one infantry battle, depending on the terrain defense values of both the attacker and the defender, with 1 communication tower each. So, because you guys don't get enough of these charts, here's another one. It's slightly different. It's just showing the first strike and the counterattack damage, the end of that, with a few variations to attack and to defense and the outcomes. And here's what happens when we scale it. When the attack bonuses for the attacker increase alongside matching defense bonuses for the defender, the outcome becomes clear. Stacking defense proves to be far more effective than stacking attack. This explains why COs with defense boosts such as Kanbai, Von Bolt, and Javier tend to be stronger than they might initially appear. In the earlier examples, infantry was used as the reference unit. Like many other units, infantry has a base attack value of 55 when attacking another infantry. This same value applies to tanks, medium tanks, neo-tanks, max fighters, and several other units. Certain units, such as copters and megatanks, have higher base damage. For these units, the advantage of making a first strike is much more pronounced. Other units like recons, anti-airs, have lower base damage. For them, the benefit of a first strike in a mirror engagement is far less impactful. Indirect units neither counterattack nor get counterattacked. As a result, using them can often be considered a free or value hit. Although artillery may appear to be a simple unit, indirect units actually bring a great deal of situational depth and strategy to Advanced Wars. Landing the first strike on an enemy unit is usually beneficial, but its impact can be reduced or even nullified by strong defensive bonuses. For attackers, high attack power is valuable because it weakens the enemy's counterattack. For defenders, however, defense is more crucial since it lessens the effect of the initial strike, allowing more units to survive and retaliate. When terrain is equal, defenders benefit from the high defensive terrain, while attackers gain more from fighting against low defensive terrain. Overall, defense bonuses generally provide more value than attack bonuses. This advantage becomes especially significant as defense values approach 100. A free hit occurs when your attack deals damage while your defender inflicts little or no counterattack damage, and no enemy unit is currently in position to retaliate against your attacker. Gaining free hits increases your unit value and sometimes gives you an edge in unit count as well. Red's infantry are left exposed and unprotected by the mechs, allowing blue to move in for free hits. Consequently, red loses an infantry unit completely and suffers heavy damage on the other, while blue only takes minimal chip damage on its tank. Free hits can disrupt your opponent's tempo and positioning, as they suddenly have fewer units available in the area. This loss of presence can often be more damaging than the immediate reduction in army value, which seems minor at first. Always look for ways to capitalize when you score a free hit, but be careful not to overextend. Blue spots opportunity to attack an exposed infantry. This results in 800 gain in army value for blue, with only minimal chip damage taken on the tank. The red infantry by the river was guarding the northern city, so blue can now begin capturing it. With the red unit weakened, it can no longer have enough power to stop the capture, allowing blue to finish it the next turn. If blue secures the city, the small 800 gain effectively becomes a property flip, creating 2,000 income swing per turn. Taking a free hit can sometimes cost you valuable positioning if it pulls your unit out of place. Free hits also contribute to your opponent's CO power charge. Even so, free hits are almost always worth taking, since the drawbacks are usually much smaller than the examples shown here, and the tempo shifts tend to balance over time. Blue's Neotank could attack the enemy tank for a free hit, but defending the HQ is more urgent. In this case, it's better for the Neotank to stay on the HQ to block Red's capture attempt. Blue's fighter has the chance to shoot down the enemy bomber. However, if Red's CO power gives the infantry extra movement, destroying the bomber might give Red enough charge to launch an HQ capture on the following turn. Blue must decide if they can handle this risk. A value hit occurs when a unit deals more damage to the enemy than its own cost or worth. The advantages and drawbacks are similar to those of a free hit. You gain an advantage in overall army value, and the opponent is left with fewer forces in the area, weakening both their local and strategic positioning. However, unlike a free hit, the unit making a value hit will often be destroyed by the opponent's next turn. This means that you lose a unit and the positioning that came with it, in addition to the usual trade-offs of a free hit. On the other hand, your opponent must also spend time and resources removing your unit, which slows down their tempo. In this example, the blue mech attacks the red rocket. Although the mech is destroyed, blue effectively exchanges 3,000 of unit value and 1 unit for 12,000 of enemy value, a net gain of 9,000, making this trade highly favorable in most situations. In this example, blue uses a battlecopter to hit the rocket. Here, blue is trading 1 unit for 3,000 up on his opponent. While this can still be somewhat favorable, the decision should weigh the strategic importance of the battlecopter and the rocket within the broader context of the map before committing to the trade. At lower ranks, free hits often occur due to mistakes, but as skill level rises, these errors become much less common. In higher level matches, free hits are usually exchanged for another resource. Free hits and value hits are typically the intended outcome of tactics. At their core, securing a free hit or value hit requires having the right army composition. The most common way to force one is by teching up or producing counter units, especially when your opponent can't retreat effectively or defend their forces, i.e. they're overextended. Red's infantry has moved too close to the blue tank. Because the blue tank is faster and more mobile, it can easily chase them down. If Red doesn't have an immediate counter to the tank, the infantry will keep taking free damage until the reinforcements arrive. In this situation, Red's tank advanced next to the airport, without considering that Blue could produce a battlecopter there. Since the copter can match the tank's movement range, Red's tank will be hit regardless of where it retreats, unless another Red unit is nearby to provide cover. When you have the opportunity for a free or value hit, it's worth thinking about how to maximize its impact. Even small details can matter a lot in close matches where every advantage counts. Think about where your unit might need to move next. In this example, the mech can strike the artillery from the plains or from the city. Attacking from the plains positions the mech to also defend against Red's potential HQ capture. You should also look for ways to reduce chip damage. For instance, attacking the infantry in the forest from the plains will cause the tank to take between 2 and 5% chip damage, which could eventually lower its HP to 9 after repeated trades. Attacking from the city lowers the maximum chip damage to 4%, and the tank will automatically recover that damage on Blue's next turn thanks to the property's healing. If several units can take the hit, try to spread out chip damage so no single unit drops to 9 HP. But also keep in mind whether you'll need at least one fully healthy unit in the near future. Think about whether you can limit the retreat options of the unit you're attacking. For example, if the infantry is attacked from the left plains tile, the copter and mountain block its escape path towards Red's base, keeping it out of range of the newly built anti-air. This makes it likely that Blue can finish off the infantry the following turn. Just be careful not to put your own unit in a position where it becomes trapped. When going for value hits, also consider how the unit's positioning can make it harder for your opponent to counterattack. In this example, Blue blocks the bridge, forcing Red's anti-air to stay on the left side of the river in order to retaliate. In this following example, Red has more options available to take out the mech because of its placement. Free hits can be avoided through proper positioning, unit coverage, and blocking. Value hits, however, can only be stopped through positioning and blocking, since the unit making the attack is already considered expendable and therefore ignores coverage. While this may seem straightforward, and in many ways it is, many tactics are designed to exploit weaknesses in these areas. As more strategies are introduced, we'll take a deeper look at what truly defines effective positioning, covering, and blocking. Basic hits and first strikes are the easiest aspects to notice on the board, but understanding their true value is crucial. Value isn't only measured in terms of army cost, but across all types of resources. Because attacks are the main way you interact with your opponent, it is not enough to simply recognize that a first strike or free hit is beneficial. You'll need to evaluate exactly how effective it is compared to your opponent's potential response. Many advanced strategies involving trading multiple hits back and forth, the key is ensuring your overall position is stronger once the exchange is over. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around until the end. I realize for some this is quite the info dump. Hopefully you get something out of it. And if you wouldn't mind taking the time to let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And as always, I really appreciate it when you guys like and subscribe to these videos. It helps me get out there. Thanks guys.